Okay, guys, so back to y'all with another video. Okay, so what I want to go over today is going to be how I changed. Okay, it's not one day and then I changed. It took me about 3 to 4 years to change, and I'm not even where I want to be yet. Okay, so let's get into the things that caused me to change. Okay, number one is I had to stop everything that I was doing. Okay, whether it was the drugs, the alcohol, partying all the time, I had to stop, okay? Because there's this life cycle that I had created, okay? And in order for me to change, I had to cut off every habit that was not doing anything for me but digging myself a hole, okay? And that's exactly what I did. When I say I went cold turkey, I went cold turkey. I mean, the next day, I got my butt up and I changed my whole life around. And it wasn't easy. But the determination in changing who I was and how I was living life and loving myself was another, aspect. And self-love, I want to get into that because that's another thing that caused me to change my life is I didn't love myself, okay? I was doing things that was hurting me, whether it was frying my brain or whatever it may be. I was hurting people. I was burning bridges. I had to stop doing that, okay? I had to learn how to love myself. I had to learn how to do things for me, right? Instead of putting my all into bad habits, and so eventually I did. I did that. And I'm proud of it. A lot of things I'm still not proud of, and a lot of things that I'm still working through. But I'm proud of where I've gotten to today. I'm not where I want to be, but I'm further than where I was a long time ago, and now I'm able to do a lot that I never thought I could, But within the next week, I want to touch on two topics. One is going to be how to become successful. So I'll break that down, and then two, I'll go into relationships. Okay, a lot more, just because we allow people, we allow the minimum. You know what I mean? And I also want to go into everything I've gone through within maybe the next 2 weeks. I haven't, talked about everything I've gone through on here, but finally I'm getting through it. So I would like to share that with y'all, just because this was a big traumatic thing that's, that has happened in my life. And hopefully it'll shed some light on maybe it's something you've gone through or you're going through. And I had to be strong, mentally to get through the other end. And I'll explain more later. But this video's over. I don't want to go down another, rabbit hole, but this video's over how I changed. And again, a lot of it was habits, I was always depressed. So because I was always depressed, I would sleep a lot, And what people don't know when they're depressed is by sleeping a lot, you're continuing to, loop this cycle in, and we're wanting change, but we keep doing the same habits. You know what I mean? We're sleeping a lot, we're running away from our problems, and we do certain things to run away from our problems instead of understanding why it's happening and understanding how you can change that, And so I had to really learn how to do that because I was living a constant cycle of chaos in my mind. I was always depressed. I was always running away, and I did things that I shouldn't have, and I hurt a lot of people, and I knew I wanted change. Okay, I no longer wanted to hurt myself, So again, if you want change, you're gonna have to stop everything that you're doing now. And you're going to have to go figure out what it's going to take to get to where you want to be. It's not one and done and you've got it all. No, it's everyday work. Okay? We'll get more onto how to become successful in the next video. Just a couple of things I wanted to, talk about. Another thing is setting goals. Okay, you have to set goals. Okay, and for me, the reason why I changed so much was, number one, I no longer wanted to go backwards, because if I go backwards, then I'm gonna have to go back to the start line and retry again, right? So I had to keep myself moving forward, and setting goals. And so one goal was, how can I be better than the person I was yesterday, and the other goal was, how can I change people's lives by what I've gone through, and the only way I can do that is by changing dramatically. How can I change dramatically to help those that need help? And so it's been constant working on myself. Sometimes I don't want to hear it. You know what I mean? Sometimes I don't want to hear the things that will help me. But when I do, I sit back and ask myself, why am I doing what I'm doing? Why am I acting out like this? What's the reason for it? Is it positive or is it negative? And I'm not saying it's easy, because a lot of times people don't fear change, people fear being changed, right? I believe that's how it goes. Yeah, that's how it goes. But everything I've gone through, it's also allowed me to see how far I could fall. And because that fight, that created me, I learned how I could fight for myself then. You know what I mean? The fight creates the man, or woman. A sword doesn't become a sword out of nowhere. Okay? It takes a lot of, fire and hits to make the sword, to make a perfect sword. Well, we would never be perfect, but you get the point, Everything takes time. Okay? But if we never get started, we'll never get to where we want to be. And don't get me wrong, I believe in being grateful for what we have and being happy for everything that was given to us. But always stay moving forward, always stay growing, always stay looking for something, that'll better ourselves, That I do believe in. Okay? I don't believe we should just accept just enough, because if we just accept just enough, then we'll end up getting into the habit of doing that with anything and everything, whether it's a person, our relationships, accepting just enough from an individual, and this can be wide, because we end up creating a habit of it, and it spreads. Okay, so be aware of that. Let me think, because I've gone through so much. How I built myself up was through, instead of looking at things at a negative aspect, I knew I had to take responsibility for everything in my life, okay? And I knew nothing happened by accident. It was either something I couldn't control or something I caused as a ripple effect. Does that make sense? Whether I put someone in my life and they just weren't good for me, and I chose not to, simple as that, I had to accept full responsibility for the things that I did have control over. And by doing that, it allowed me to see that it allowed me to take my power back, which I always, had that power, but I had to believe I had it, and I think I touched on as much as I could, but we'll talk about how to become successful. on the next video. I don't know everything. I only know what I've gone through. Okay? I only know what I've gone through. So, and even then, it's still my own perception on life, you know? So, I don't know it all. I don't know it all. But what I do know, I can come to y'all with what I know. So, we'll talk more on the next video, guys. Alright. Talk to y'all later. Bye.